of it, I was like, bro, at least you have a dad, you know? Half these people don't even have dads. So like.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris, here to talk with my wonderful friends and co-hosts about entertainment, about culture, and about whatever the hell we feel like. And with me today to discuss the one, the only, the Snyder Cut, it's James. How you doing, James?
Doing well.
You're wearing the wrong shirt, James.
I know. My allegiance is going to be known throughout this podcast. By the way, shout out to Mitchell Robinson and the Knicks, man. Looking good. He's back.
We're already off the rails.
We're off the rails, man.
All right. Speaking of the Knicks, with us today, of course, it's Keith. How you doing, Keith? And the Amazonian of the podcast, of course, with us.
I like that.
It's Brooks. How are you doing, Brooksy?
I'm doing great. That was an amazing intro. Mike, this is where you add that Amazonian music in the background.
Yes. Everybody wants to hear it.
Middle Eastern version, not
the one from the fight scene.
But just for that, I'm going to just be putting in Pop Goes the Weasel.
Of course you will.
And controlling everything from behind the scenes, it's Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Yes, I am the dark side of this podcast.
Well, as anybody who watches our podcast knows, that on Saturday we did a Snyder Cut review, but because Mike here, we call him Mike Whedon, I don't like the way he cut it. He made us look bad, and he cut it really short.
Yeah, there was some sharp cuts.
So today we are going to do a really long version, and we're cutting nothing. That's how it works.
We got the additional funding.
At least
we got the additional.
We got.
You're lucky I didn't put the ending in the beginning of the freaking quick peek.
The 30 minute. So we're going to expect that at least 10% of this podcast is in slow motion.
And we got some post-credit scenes, right?
That's right.
Nice.
Post-credit scenes. A scene in which, and never mind. I'm not even going to go there.
Which I talk about the New York Knicks.
Yeah, there'll be an epilogue with a surprise cameo at the end. Don't worry.
and a middle point with a cameo for no reason. Okay.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
And I sat down and I wrote down all the scenes for this movie. Of course, this is Justice League, the 2021 re-release of the 2017 movie, with the same writer, Chris Terrio, and Zack Snyder. But instead of being co-directed by Joss Whedon with a lot of editing, this one is pure, straight to the nostrils, Zack Snyder.
Uncut Colombian
Zack Snyder. So this is a tough one. So like I said, I sat down, I wrote down all of the scenes from all of the different parts. This movie was broken into 6 different parts. We're not going to do a history of the Snyder Cut. If someone has that question, email us or write it on social media. We don't have time. So I'm gonna try to do this, break it into parts where we talk about the things that happen in those parts and give our feelings about that. But first, I want everybody to give me is it better or worse than the 2017 Justice League?
Dude, it's better. Come on. It's better.
Better.
It's obviously better.
I agree, it's better. So just starting with some positivity for anybody who watches this, who loves this movie, the positivity is, yes, it's better. Where we go from there, I can't promise anything about positivity. Okay. So we're going to start directly off with the prologue. Now, the prologue is basically a bridge here that Snyder used instead of just opening the movie with it. It's a prologue for some reason. Is just a bridge here from the BVS, Batman v Superman movie, where we see the death of Superman again in slow motion this time, and his scream basically wakes up the mother boxes. So this is different than the 2017 version, in which we have a happy-go-lucky Superman interacting with kids and with people. What do you guys like better? Do you like a version where we're not here to praise Joss Whedon? We all think he's a piece of shit. We don't want him anywhere near any more of our movies. This is about the work. So that I personally like the idea of going, this is what people miss about Superman. They want a Superman who saves people. Were you guys?
So I'll start.
Go ahead.
So
go ahead.
I did like the so yeah, Snyder tends to do a recap for each of these DC movies, right? So in the beginning, they'll kind of take you right where we left off on the other one, and I like that. So for me, it should have been maybe a combination of the two, where we start with the Superman scream, and we don't go to the YouTube video of him talking to the kids, but maybe we go to a little bit of the sadness of society around, like we didn't try to put in, but not as much. You know what I mean? Just 10 seconds or so, and then we start getting into things, right? I think that would have worked.
Well, and not to bitch about Snyder too fast here, but this is one of my first things I don't like, in that Superman has only been known to this society for a few months, if that. Like, his first major action blew up half the city. He was on trial, and then he died. Like,
no, I'm gonna say a year after.
Yeah, there was a year after Man of Steel.
Right.
BVS.
Is it a full year? Because he was like, when we go to BVS, he's literally going to trial. So yeah.
No, because Lois was, without getting too into the details, Lois was with them at least a year before she passed away.
They had rebuilt pretty much Metropolis at that point. And
okay.
Correct.
So I just think it feels like the world doesn't have time to fall in love with Superman.
I get your point though. It's not like Donner or Superman, right? Like, everybody knew Superman for years, right?
They feel for him, they get to know him, they trust him.
Yeah, exactly.
Day to day kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Just putting that out there. All right. So let's go right into part one. Part one, I'm going to read off the scenes from part one, and you guys will tell me what you want to talk about. So part one is Batman trying to recruit Aquaman. It's Martha in the moving truck. So Martha losing the farm. Lois Lane getting coffee. Very important. Wonder Woman fighting the terrorists. Cue the music. And the Amazons fighting Steppenwolf. That's a pretty packed part one.
Yeah, it is.
So, James, is there a part you would like to talk about within that section that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, if we want to keep the positive momentum going, which won't last too long, I always loved the Amazonian section of the first movie and this movie, because this movie went a little bit further into that. To me, that's a standout scene from Justice League, the Joss Whedon version. I thought the way that one was cut and played was good until I saw this version, where they really went into the story on how they were at odds with the motherboard, or the motherboards, the mother box. And
talking about Chris's PC.
Yeah, Chris's PC. So,
it's at odds with my.
I think, and this is where Zack Snyder stands above the rest. I think Zack Snyder, the way he cuts and he shoots and he uses visual displays, is one of the best in the business. This is how he made his bones. I used to say that Zack Snyder was like Tim Burton on steroids, because he'll take like a little comic book feel, make it dark, and then he'll pump it full of creatine, and all of a sudden you're looking at this scene, you're looking at the Themyscira, you're looking at the women, and it's just like a next level stuff. So this, and I mentioned during the quick peek on Saturday. To me, at this point, I was like, thumbs up. I was like, oh, this is wow, this is looking much better than I expected. So that part of chapter 1 really stood out to me, and I think chronologically that occurred before the whole recruiting by Batman. So yeah, at that point, I'm pretty excited.
It was all
at that point.
Well, see, in the movie, the scream, Batman's scream goes right into his Aquaman stuff. Like Bruce is walking through there's a little bit of time weirdness.
Yeah, there's a lull there. Yeah,
because this you kind of jump back and forth to places, but it goes right into him.
Excuse me, I don't remember if when in the Whedon cut, don't we, after the little Superman YouTube video segment, don't we cut to Gotham City?
Batman and a parademon, yeah.
Right, and he's dangling the dude off.
I did not go back to the Whedon cut. I kind of thought about doing it and doing a comparison.
That's fine. Let's get.
I was just gonna add.
It's Mike's turn anyway. Go for it, Mike.
I was just gonna add that I'm glad they took that whole thing out with Batman and dangling the guy.
I was trying to figure out where I saw that, and I was like, "Am I crazy? Was there a scene like that?" And I couldn't remember. So thanks for reminding me.
It was kind of in the Whedon cut. It was it was Batman already knew what was happening with the, you know what I mean?
I think it's instead of using the nightmare. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I think instead of trying to use the nightmare, he was like, "What's another way in which Batman figures out shit's happening?" Well, he runs into a parademon.
Yeah.
So I think it's just an alternative storytelling method. Was it better? No.
I don't think it was better. No.
The scene was bad.
Yeah.
So
and then the only thing I want to add for this part 1 right now is the Iceland scene was a bit different from the original.
It was just longer.
It was a little longer, and then Zach took out the talk to fish line. Do you talk to fish?
All the Joss Whedon jokes.
Yeah, the Joss Whedon joke, which he cut quite a bit of the Whedon jokes. Thank goodness.
He still kept the whole cash thing, $25,000, $50,000.
I was surprised how many jokes were in there, but I think Whedon was like, I'm gonna tack on 5 more for every one that's there.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to someone who really enjoyed this movie. We know where the 3 of us stand.
All right, Keith, any in that first part, any of those scenes really stick out to you, or anything you want to mention about those?
I mean, I like again, I didn't finish it. I didn't finish the marathon of a movie yet. But
but we're just talking about part 1. So
I like the extended Amazon fight scene. Like like that was actually I thought, and like you were saying, Chris, like I thought that the original one was fine. Like I liked that. I loved that scene when I saw it. But now I'm like, why did you cut all of this out? Like that was ferociously dope. I enjoyed it, but like to me in the first part, like, okay, so you added some slow motion walking. A lot.
Oh, it gets better.
So I'm gonna tell you from the start, my issue, my non-issue with this the Snyder Cut.
Part one only.
No, I know, but I'm just gonna say you're gonna see this as a theme throughout the thing, is never gonna be with the action sequences in this movie.
Okay, yeah.
I'm never gonna be upset with the action sequences. Everything else, well, that's a different story. Right?
I would love to see Zack Snyder do a
I would totally agree. And to me, like, it started to, like, even just watching just that first part, the slow-mo scenes, once you start to realize that they were like really for no reason, like they didn't lead you anywhere, like oh, she's slow motion drinking a cup of coffee, like it wasn't. They were like, once you realize very early that they were anticlimactic pieces, they just started to get annoying. Like this is why the movie's so long. Like you're
37 minutes, whatever it was. Somebody did the math.
Yeah, like I'm like this
10% of the movie, literally, someone did math. Like
there was
did math.
Yeah, there was another movie.
That was probably the main reason why I couldn't really in that sitting get to the next part, because Yeah. But even the slow motion is supposed to be like meaningful. It's a plot piece. Like even when you add the slow motion in action scenes, the slow motion is supposed to like mean something in a way like, oh, like we got to slow this scene down, like because the action is so like every hit looks like it's fierce and ferocious, like Van Damme,
or like technical, like when we first saw a super slow mo of a bullet leaving a gun and traveling to its target, right?
And you got Neo, you got Neo dodging bullets,
right?
Like you understand why that slow mo is happening, and it makes it actually more impactful.
Yeah.
Once you take away that part, like I feel like I learned very early that you're using slow mo egregiously.
Yeah.
Now you turn that filter off.
Okay, goddess Diana Prince, otherwise known as Brooksy. What did you think?
That the slow-mo didn't bother me at all. For whatever reason, it didn't hit my radar.
Said. Holy cow.
Yeah. It didn't bother me at all. And I mean, I started watching the movie thinking to myself, one, I was like watching it to prove Mike wrong, really. Like I was going to do my homework mostly to prove Mike wrong.
I never said you weren't going to watch it. I only said, let's make sure you watch it.
If I don't watch it, I shouldn't show up to the podcast.
You did.
Yeah.
Right. But I never said you weren't going to watch it. And not once.
I feel like the assumption was. So anyways, that's sort of why I watched it. And then I got super
now
into
I know
it.
What to do from now on.
Yeah, exactly. But then I got like super into it. Like I shocked myself at how into it I was. I watched the entire thing in one sitting, which again, I hands down did not think was going to happen because that's 4 hours.
Jeez.
Yeah, I watched it all in one sitting, super into it. And like for me, what I liked a lot, especially when you start off with the part one, is that I knew from the beginning that they were going to go deeper into people's stories and I was going to get more. And that part's very interesting to me because I don't know a lot about the background and the stories and the people, and you know what I mean? Like I don't know a lot of that. So for me, I was like, wow, this is great. Now all of those things that you guys talk, not all of it, but like some of the stuff you guys talk about where, you know, you're connecting a lot of things that you like have to watch the previous movie. It feels like right before you watch the current movie to remember what's happening. Like I didn't need to do any of that. I was like, oh, now I have a lot of the background and now it's interesting. And now I kind of am like brought up to speed. And so I think that's one of the reasons I enjoyed it so much also, because I felt like now I know what everybody's talking about in the movie. And normally when I watch, you know, Avengers or Justice League or anything, I'm like sitting next to James's son being like, what happened? Who is he? Why is this happening? You know what I mean? And
you have the two different storytelling methods where one, you have to have done previous work in the Avengers.
Right. Yeah. So
whereas this one was kind of trying to be a TV show in a sense that everything's embedded in it.
Yeah, that's an issue for me, which I'll discuss when we go around.
You know, it was one thing that Brooks just mentioned that it's a common theme with like my sister and other folks who I know were not deep into the lore of superhero movies. They all enjoyed this movie for like what they saw, and be as you know, super nerds, medium nerds, whatnot. Like we don't see the same perspective. We see from a different point of view, but you can't deny the fact that the general population who are maybe not diehard DC fans and Snyder Cut guys and gals are enjoying this movie for whatever reason. If it's not their Batman, it doesn't matter. Like whatever Zack Snyder did with this movie, and you could say it's a spectacle of the action sequences because he did pretty, other than the slow-mo part. It connects with a lot of people, and I'm starting to really see that. Like Brooks was on spot. She almost mimicked what my sister said the other day. That she didn't need to know all the backstory better.
Because you guys are so curmudgeonly and hard-headed about your views. Like Like they look at everything like grumpy old men. Like, oh,
well, I have an actual question.
Like I don't look at it for the pure joy of what a movie A does, what it's supposed to do for you. Like
entertaining
you. That's, you know what I'm saying?
No,
like that's number one. That's how come certain B movies are. You could tell we'd all have a conversation about them being trash, but it was captivating for some reason.
Well, that's the investment as a geek.
Storytelling. There's storytelling
covered in this stuff. I'm invested too far sometimes for it to just feed a base enjoyment.
That could be a shortcoming of ours.
So, but Keith, I'm going to push back on that a bit because I didn't really watch this movie as a DC fan. I watched it more as an amateur movie critic because I already saw Justice League. I just wanted to see how this one is going to be different. And I sat through this thing.
Then you weren't watching the movie.
Yeah. No,
you're missing a part then. You're like how you just described you're going into it is not how a person goes into watching a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like I dig what you're saying, and I feel like without question, you went into it like a amateur movie critic and this, that, and the other. Like, but that's my point. Like you watch it, if you clear all of that away and just you know what, let me just turn this on and watch it.
But see, that's
my critiques of the movie are not with DC or the characters per se, or
are they technical in nature?
Kind of technical in terms of writing.
Okay,
right.
And
so what
like that,
for what Keith's saying, that's how I enjoy a Van Damme movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I enjoy an old Jackie Chan movie. Like, there's no backstory.
You know that they're bad movies.
Well,
I'm saying
right. I know what I'm getting when I go into a Van Damme movie. I can just sit down and just soak in the crapness and enjoy the hell out of it, and don't worry about anything.
Right.
That's me and Transformers.
Right. Sometimes
sometimes may I say Fast and Furious?
Sometimes the investment 100. You have in a universe or a character or even a director or a storyteller can sometimes hamper your enjoyment of, say, The Last Jedi, which was a good movie.
Terrible.
And so like it can get in the way sometimes. And I agree with that, Keith. But so I have a question for Brooksy about your enjoyment here on the first
part.
Okay. If we had told you there is a
you want Serena? I want on air.
If we had told you there is a TV show about the Justice League and it's 5 episodes long, would you watch it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because of the way he broke this up. And when I was sitting and watching and getting up in between chapters, if I could, or if I wanted to, or I didn't want to, there were breaks, whether they were worked story-wise, it didn't matter. There was literally a thing on the screen that told me to take a break.
Right.
It felt like I was watching a TV show, and it didn't feel like a 4-hour movie.
Like it might have been more palatable because it was broken up. Even though I sat there and watched it for 4 hours, like the fact that it was broken up made it feel like I'm not just having to pay attention for 4 hours. It was like I have to pay attention for 37 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then like you could do whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
All right. So now my views on part 1. And my view on part 1 is that this is everything I love and hate about Zack Snyder in one easy 37-minute block.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is, he has these great ideas and setups. So Batman trudging across the plains to find this village where he's discovered that this Aquaman lives in order to, and using his wealth and his unique abilities to get there. And then he goes through this conversation, this back and forth, which is decent. It's pretty good. I didn't mind it. I liked it, you know, and surprising to me, Aquaman had more of the Aquaman that I knew already. Like I thought that was all Joss Whedon Aquaman, but it wasn't. He was kind of A little bit Surfer Dude was still in there. He was a little grumpy, but
My
for
man.
the most part, he still had the my man in there, right? But then at the end of that scene, for no reason, there is a group of Icelandic women singing a song, and one sniffs his shirt and longingly looks at the sea. And I'm like, why? Why is this?
Where are the dudes in this village? Like, where are they at?
Problem is,
as a female, I'm gonna
the whole time.
Okay.
As a female, I can say the reason why is because he is really that good looking that
But-
you just want to smell his.
You are the
shirt
second. You are the second woman that's told me that they would smell his sweater.
But you know his sweater is soaked in seawater and fish, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
just.
but he's really that good looking.
He saved the guy in the ocean. That's how he got there. Like, and he's covered in fish water, like sea salt fish water. Now, okay, so it's realistic, but is it doing something for the scene? Like, I can see women online going, give me that sweater that he just threw down.
Listen, it wasn't the sweater part. It was the fact that they came out in an a cappella group.
Yeah, what was that about?
What was they were auditioning for American Idol.
So Martha losing the whole thing was completely unnecessary part of this movie. It didn't do anything.
They just hating.
Yeah, just like, oh, Martha's gonna have financial troubles. Hey, just so you know. Okay, the Wonder Woman terrorist scene. Great. I don't even know why we didn't change any of it, except at the very end of that scene, Wonder Woman goes from faster than a speeding bullet to use her God killer mode to destroy a single dude who she could have stopped from reloading his weapon and this is in a universe in which I've now seen two movies.
Zack Snyder.
I've seen two movies in which Wonder Woman, if she doesn't have to, she doesn't kill. If she has to, she kills. Whatever. I'm down with that. I'm down with beheading the monster. But she doesn't have to kill, so she doesn't. And here, because it looks cool and blows out the building she was trying to save. It's that whole thing. Like, I love this Steppenwolf 100 times better than the generic Steppenwolf from before.
We can disagree later, but go ahead.
But it's when we get into the Amazon thing, it's great. It's going awesome. But then for no reason, Antiope, I think I said her name wrong, runs around a door frame and lands in the exact same spot she started. Like, she doesn't go anywhere. She doesn't avoid a hit. She doesn't save somebody. She just runs on a wall.
This is the minutia of the movie. We got bigger fish to fry.
But what my point is, like, I am not a Snyder hater. I just think there are things that he does that he doesn't just do it once. The entire movie is filled with all these things that just build and build and build until I'm like, just, all right, enough. This is why if you could have cut most of this stuff, he could have had a 3.5 hour movie, which is, 3 hours, 15 minutes, whatever. And I think we would have released this in 2017 and been able to. All right. So that was long, but we had to give our kind of initial feedback on the movie. So now we can plow through a little bit, even though the next two parts are extremely packed. So part 2 of the movie is Steppenwolf making a base. Batman and Alfred chit chat. The whole Amazon arrow ceremony, warning Wonder Woman of the impending doom. Cyborg's intro for his dad stealing the mother box for some reason. Wonder Woman finding the cave, which tells her all about
backstory,
dark side. Okay. Aquaman rescuing a guy off a boat. A whole scene where Volko. So in order to give the Aquaman the trident, which he didn't yet have, but Snyder wanted him to have for this movie, he had to create a scene in which Volko gives it to him. Steppenwolf first and Assad first meeting. Batman, Wonder Woman, where Wonder Woman explains the backstory, which she found out to Batman so that we know what it is, and flashback to Darkseid's first attack on Earth in which he gets punked. Whew! That is a lot of stuff that happened in this part.
That's a lot.
But I want you guys to pick something that stuck out to you.
I think we should start with
area.
Let's get some positivity since she enjoyed the movie. I want to hear some positive tones about this.
I'm looking at my notes. This is what I have. Darkseid looks like a fiery Thanos.
They're like Thanos on keto. Like,
yeah, he's got no waistline, man. He's cutting.
Fucking need carbs, man. Anyway, sorry.
But they looked the same to me. That's why I was like, so again, for me, like I felt like they were going into people's stories that I found interesting and that I really liked. And I liked the backstories, like all the backstories that we were hearing. Super interesting to me. Also more Jason Momoa without a shirt on. So that's always great. I know.
No, the modern you will be able to tell all of the modern superhero movies by how many times the lead actor takes his shirt off.
Well, the more Jason Momoa takes his shirt off, the better. That's all I'm saying. And then hold on, I'm trying to look at my notes.
I can see Nipsey Hussle in the back shaking his head like, no, ma, no.
Nipsey Hussle is not shaking his head. No, I got Nipsey and Kobe back there, by the way. Now I'm feeling a little unprepared, and I took all these notes. Someone else go. But the other question that I have for Aquaman is like, he just seems to come out of nowhere and like with his shirt off, which is great. But then all of a sudden he's fully clothed, and then all of a sudden he like takes his clothes off and goes back. And so I'm like,
that's part of the Zack Snyder. Like he wants something to be in a place. Like sometimes he tells an elaborate backstory to that, and sometimes it just happens.
He just happens to be at Gotham Harbor.
Right. He's in Gotham Harbor, not in the ocean. Like, okay.
Right.
Can we jump to, sorry, were you done or?
I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Jump.
No, I was just going to say, because this is the part where they introduce Zeus and the old gods, right?
Yeah, I'm just getting everybody's feel for this entire pick. If that's the part you want to talk about, Mike, we'll go to you next.
Well, that was really the only part that bugged me. I think you and I agree in part 2 about how they basically whooped Darkseid's ass. You know,
and this is where on Saturday we got caught in our loop, because you can't get by this section without talking about what happened to Darkseid when he first appeared on Earth.
Darkseid got his ass handed to him.
And not only by anybody, but by specifically the person, the god in which we see Wonder Woman kick his butt in her first movie.
Right.
So, and
it's just a terrible entrance.
And that's supposed to be a more powerful version in which he has already killed Zeus, right? No. I mean, they triple teamed him.
You're right.
But it was 10 seconds. It wasn't like a big, tough battle. I was expecting, to be honest, if you told me there's this 4-hour cut, I'm like, oh my God, are we going to get like an enormous classic battle? If it's going to be Darkseid instead of Steppenwolf, who was in the Whedon cut. Oh my God, I can't imagine the battle that they're going to have, and they're just going to barely win. And no, it was 10 seconds. It was the same length.
Because Darkseid was teased to us as it is. It's the Thanos version of DCU, created by the same guy who created Thanos. Spoiler alert for Brooks'
created first.
Jim Starlin. And our first introduction to this Thanos version is his ass getting handed to him, like to the point where you laughing. He got knocked out and he passed out on the ship as they're dragging him to the ship. Dude was out like Nate Robinson. He was done for. Imagine the equivalent is, and I don't want to start doing the Marvel comparisons, but imagine in Infinity War, the first scene they show you is a flashback when Thanos first arrived to Earth, and then Odin and the elder guys were here. He was like, oh shit, I'll be back in 1,000 years. and then he walks, and then you see him being Infinity War, like, this dude? Avengers got this dude. Like, no, that I don't understand why Zack Snyder, and this is why I give props to Josh Whedon. It made no narrative sense to him, so he just cut that whole part out with Darkseid and just focused on Steppenwolf, which you could say was terrible in the first movie anyway. But I mean, he was working with with what we saw with Darkseid, and he was like, the only thing I could salvage is just eliminating Darkseid's story and focusing on Steppenwolf. Right. And to me, that's the beginning of where I started realizing, like, wow, now we're seeing the full Zack Snyder vision. It's not really better than what Josh Whedon did. It just gives you more backstory, which I'm going to say this movie is better because of the backstory. But this element here, beginning of part 2, I started to realize that just because it's better doesn't mean, it's a better, superhero movie, I should say.
Okay. The most evil, most powerful being in the universe jump off his ship, hit the ground, and then get whooped and kicked back, right? And then forgets where it happened for the next 1,000 years, 100,000 planets. I've been looking for this place. Have you? Were you just like, oh man, did we miss Earth again? How did I miss Earth?
That part was weird to me too, but then I was like, maybe because it's been so long, or there's like so many worlds that it's confusing. I don't know. I felt like, this is another one of those things where I feel like because I am not like well versed in the DC universe, I was like, maybe there's just something I don't know, and that's why it made sense to me.
Well, there's all sorts of different levels to this character, Darkseid, that even I, as a geek who's well versed in geekery in general, but not so much Superman.
General geekery.
Right, general geekery. But like, there's this thing like his name then was actually UX, and it wasn't. He didn't have all of his powers yet, and But if we're looking at the movie and the story within the movie, it looks like this guy came to this planet expecting to win, got his butt handed to him. He left, didn't come back, and the little boxes were afraid of the protectors of the planet. Welcome back, everybody, from our little break. And much like the resurrection of Superman, we have a new guest joining us. It's Corinne. How you doing, Corinne?
I am doing all right. How are you? How are you? Oh, sorry
about the lighting. Unite the 6.
Yeah, unite the 7. Oh, I mean 6. 6, really 6. And so Corinne is going to give some hopefully positive feedback, back up Brooksy here on the positivity scales, while the rest of us continue to be negative. Sorry, world. So
okay,
we are working on part 3. Part 3. Brooksy, what was the name of that part again? You wrote that.
Beloved mother, beloved son.
Ugh. All right.
Jeez.
Okay, that's a little self-indulgent here. All right. So the events, this has all happened in part 3. Now, we're not going to talk about all the events. What we're going to do, Corinne, is each person is just going to pick something they want to talk about it that happened within
that
section.
chapter.
But just to give everybody an idea, this is what happened. Flash and Iris. Steppenwolf and the Atlanteans. This is where he pulls them out of the ocean. Sad Lois, number 2. Cyborg flashback. Cyborg hangs out with his dad. Cyborg's first flight. Cyborg power description and stalking a random woman. Flash and his dad. Wonder Woman and Alfred make tea. Wonder Woman and Cyborg meet in the dark alley. Cyborg hides the mother box for some reason. Dr. Stone and Choi discover the heat signature. Dr. Stone abducted. Gotham PD scene. Flash, Wonder Woman, and Batman meet in front of this plane. Steppenwolf goes down to Atlantis and hangs out with Mera and Aquaman. Ooh, and finally, Steppenwolf and Desaad, part 2. So that all happened in this one section. So we're obviously not going to be able to cover all of that, and that's what we're not doing. So I'm going to give Corrine the first shot here, being our wonderful raised Superman guest. What in this section stuck out to you? What do you want to talk about? Positive, negative, doesn't matter.
Fair, since it was early on in the scene, if I'm thinking right, because I don't have the chapters memorized, I know you partially touched, but it was when Flash, like, sees Iris in the store and like she's walking out, right?
That's how this soul starts. Yeah.
There's that whole like crash. To me, as far as Flash went, him in can I do the comparisons that him in Justice League itself coming out, it was just, he felt like a joke, kind of like he was just too extra playful with nothing else in there. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it feels like they chose a guy just to choose a guy, and they found a really dorky guy as they felt it. Not saying Ezra Miller himself is like super dorky, but I'm just saying, as like, they chose this dude that like just didn't really sell enough, I think, to the character in Justice League. And I was like, is it him? Is it the directors? Is it the writer? And then you have this one moment, when the car scene's happening and he just kind of, and you see, first off, you do see him kind of give her the look on her way out the store. And then there's that whole slow motion movement. I think that just
slow motion, Keith.
I know. I get it. There's a lot of slow motion. To be fair, can I, though I've not watched any interviews with Snyder or anything, but I think he was just giving us like, hey, these are all the pieces I've actually would have been picking out of, and then we would have cut it down to something tangible, is what I felt like was happening.
That's interesting.
Yes.
That's what it seemed like. That said, to me, that scene would have been an absolute valuable scene to it. It was the only thing that I felt bring him anything worth, even thinking about Flash. For any reason, like there was still a strong connection moment. There's a lot to say about, people's facial expressions and the music that's playing. And playing on that, I will say that even without discussing the other scenes, I feel like the music and the songs that he chose,
everyone says that,
were pretty solid throughout in comparison. It like literally in some scenes, just the music changed everything. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna be honest. I like Aquaman just kind of felt like a bro douche, like throughout most, I'm sorry, Jason Momoa, but like if he felt like real bro douche and like, oh my God.
But that's the Aquaman I love. Like I want bro Aquaman. That's the one I want. I know I differ than everybody, but
no, we didn't want that Aquaman until we first saw him in this DC universe. We wanted the old blonde dude.
No, I do not want another
from Justice
blonde
League
dude.
Cartoons.
I didn't want that either. But,
you wanted that one.
But I will say this: like you can still be, like he could still be cool, but then also have that level of like. I feel like him just expressing his. Am I overstepping, by the way, by touching the Aquaman scene?
Oh, you're on there. Go ahead.
Okay, because I did feel like it gave him this moment of, like he walks in, drops the dude on the bar table, and he's just like, and just grabs the drink, and instead of them just going into, oh my God, look how cool I am, I'm so cool, the water's flying everywhere behind me, instead he's just like, he starts walking out and like this music plays
slow motion. Yeah,
instead of the scene seeming badass, it was more like you have that small moment of like sentiment for the character, like empathy for he's feeling stuff right now, because obviously he has some parent issues. Also, like we get it, they're not whatever.
Have you seen the James Wan's Aquaman movie?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I disagree with you on that scene. You're talking about the one where he walks out
under the pier.
tosses
The second
whiskey.
time walking into the water, yes.
Yeah, I like the original music and section of that better.
The rock music was better.
Yeah, I like that one better. I didn't like.
I think it was cool. Like it was definitely cool, but I felt like it was the only scene that made him seem like a character that was worth more than, hey, I'm giving you a bunch of cool or funny moments.
You don't like all the shirts
I personally
off?
would have.
You don't like the shirts off part?
Which huh?
All the
You don't like
parts
that?
he's taking the
I'm
first.
saying, but his shirt, like if people wanted that, like his shirt was still off, he was still being, my hair's floating. I'm Jason Momoa. You know what I mean? That's what Jason Momoa. They should have just freaking thrown a tomahawk in the sand or something. Yeah. Like it was a very Jason Momoa.
Tomahawk.
My choice would be cut that whole section out.
They gave Cyborg his moment too, kind of, because then it's like, oh, he actually hears the machines or talks to them in some way. I'm not weirded out by this. Okay, wait, like he almost sounded sympathetic. I did not want the moment of him talking to the ship, but it was still his moment of, she wants to fly. Just a little bit more time.
So in the future, I would love to get your response on the actual Aquaman movie, because I want to know if you get the same vibes from that.
I think that's a better version of Aquaman. We'll look forward to that conversation.
Okay, I'm gonna give James the next shot on part 3.
Dude, you can skip right through me, because part 3 to me was when the beginning of the end. I was like, nothing here in this part is entertaining, and I don't care about these characters. This is where, and it's gonna be real quick because I want to hear Brooks next, and then Keith, and I don't know if Mike spoke yet, but this is where to me it was like, wow, maybe Josh Whedon is not to blame how terrible that first movie was. Maybe he had this canvas of this 4-hour movie.
Terrio.
Oh, that's the writer. There's only so much you could blame the writer. At some point, the director's got to stand on his own 2 feet too. Like,
no, I agree.
This is where it was like a hodgepodge of different stories. And just to piggyback on what Karine said, yeah, Cyborg was more developed. They gave a little more story about Cyborg. They gave us a little Iris West story about, Barry Allen. But I didn't care. Nothing there.
Horny Barry.
Made any sense. The hot dog, I was like, is this supposed to be like a penile joke?
What comic nerd? What's the hot dog mean in comic terms?
I was saying, I thought James would have had it. But as a comic nerd,
Condiment King.
Okay, because like I was actually having this conversation with my boyfriend, and he's just like, yeah, and I was like, yeah, I like how they threw that in there, because Barry's like so fast that he's like he's constantly wasting energy.
Calories,
so he's always snacking and eating. So he's like, ooh, snacks. And that's,
but see, I thought he was going to eat it too.
He gave it to the dog, so that doesn't make sense.
They could have, well, that's what he did for his cover, but I'm saying that's kind of a Barry staple.
Yeah, if he had eaten it, I think that would have been funny.
They could have used something different than a hot dog so that they can make this loving moment between these two individuals.
It was a little creepy.
The hot dog flew past her face and mouth. It was like this.
So weird.
The hot dog in slow motion.
Yeah, so I'm gonna blame Chris Terrio on that one. That sounds like a Chris Terrio.
You guys
moment.
are all blaming the writer.
No.
Man.
Just that moment, just that one. Ooh, maybe the hot dog comes flying past their face in slow motion.
This is also the scene in which we get the slow motion sesame seed from the guy's sandwich that he dropped.
Yes.
So the whole scene it feels out from this whole movie, which is not totally serious. It was had more lighthearted moments than I expected, but this scene and the setup for the scene felt completely out of place for this movie.
I'm with James here. Like this whole part 3, like this is why I'm saying I would like to see a Snyder cut theatrical version. That would have been. There's no way, it wouldn't have been 4 hours in the theater. We wouldn't see sesame seeds in the theater version. Probably not the hot dog either, right?
It's something that's fully cut.
Yeah.
This would be the Snyder circumcision cut.
Ooh, what? Oh, dude.
What was that?
Chris is a different. You say circumcision cut. Let's move on.
All righty.
We need a Snyder Cut on Chris right now. Let's hear Brooks's.
Hey,
my whole take on part 3 was like it was showing how everybody has like daddy issues, basically. Like that was like the entire theme.
That's what Leslie Jones said too, by the way. I was watching her Twitter.
It's like a mini Star Wars universe where everybody has a daddy's issue.
Everybody has a daddy issue. That's what we learned in part 3 was everybody has some kind of dad issue in this story, in this movie.
Except for Wonder Woman.
Except for Wonder Woman.
No, she has a daddy issue. She doesn't like her dad.
But they don't focus on that in this movie.
Not in this movie.
Not in this
movie, but she does. She does. So it
got
fits
daddy
the
issues.
theme.
She's got men issues in general, aside from the one she liked.
And it's dead a second time. But okay. Sorry. And watching this, there is so much more Ray Fisher Cyborg than there was. And for some reason got replaced by a weird Russian family time-wise. I sort of get it, but okay. So in this case, I understand wanting to take this new character and make him sort of the Kitty Pryde, the young member of the team that is our view into the
Kitty
team.
Pryde, shit.
But you waited till halfway through the movie before you really give him to us. Like you waited really long time to do this. Like why wasn't this in part 2? This you should have put Cyborg in earlier and had him walk us through this whole thing. So even Snyder giving him all this time, I think he came in too late to the story. His story, by the way, I really obnoxious CG fest of being inside Cyborg's computer head felt like a 90s CGI movie fest. Like talking about the markets and then having a CGI bear and
Right.
thing
The bear and the bull, yeah.
The bear and the bull, the stock market, yeah.
That was a little weird, yeah.
And then he talks about money and he like literally makes money. Like
But
okay,
that's
we get
typical,
it.
But that's typical Snyder. Like you go back to 300, when the guy's telling stories, they're flashing to the actual story. You're actually seeing what he's talking about. And Snyder does it all the time.
Right. As a person who watches a decent amount of anime, I get the literal flashbacks to what the character is talking about like I'm an idiot. Right. All this was shot in 2017. This was his original vision. Like there's almost zero new footage here. So
there's 30 minutes of new footage. There's 30 minutes of new footage. There's 30 minutes of new footage.
But I don't think any of this if it
Cyborg
was
related. Gotcha.
It was all Cyborg.
Well, it's the post-credit scene. All that stuff is definitely in there.
But it just, I don't know. I like the idea of Cyborg. I think
you felt like it was too much.
I just think WB has this idea, like these characters that they could do something with. Snyder has an idea what he wants to do with them, but then just blew it all up. And
the one thing I wanted to say, because I knew we were running out of time, is I disagree with you on the Cyborg part. I think to me, Cyborg was probably the most grounded character in this.
I like the character. It's just some stupid
I just
visuals.
didn't like what Zack Snyder did to it. I like the backstory. I like everything that you just complained about. To me, I thought it made this movie from an F to a D. But
an F.
Well,
yeah,
we'll get to that.
Justice League alone was trash. I watched it. I was like, "Oh my god, give me back my popcorn, my drink, everything. I'm done."
Yeah, no, I agree. It's important and it was needed, but Zack Snyder's storytelling, if it requires you every time to have a 30-minute backstory to this character, then you're not telling the story about the Justice League. You're telling 5 different stories. Like you have to be able to.
I see Chris is getting antsy, but let's move on, Chris.
Yeah, let's move on, 'cause I have thoughts on that at the end too. So.
Yeah.
All right. So part 4, we are skipping over to part 4. And Roxy, what is that called?
Change Machine.
Change Machine. All right. So this actually has a very small number of scenes in it. So it's the Gordon rooftop scene where the heroes meet up with Gordon. And it's Steppenwolf versus the Justice League. So it's a big, long scene and tells a lot of different stuff. And then some weird parts. So Steppenwolf has his dream and his third meeting with Desaad and our first view of Darkseid. Cyborg has a weird mother box history lesson for everybody. Again, more backstory. And then my favorite scene of the movie, which is Martha and Lois.
Are you joking?
I'm sorry. I did the was I not sincere in my facial
I
expression?
think it was because of the reveal.
We go from terrible to like, oh my god, what the F is going on?
Right.
Wait, who was that?
It was
Martian Manhunter. And they didn't tell you. Holy crap. Like they explain everything and they didn't even tell you who it was.
Yeah, so I think I looked it up because I have my like notes. It says Martian Manhunter, but then I was like, who is that? I don't know.
Well, James and I knew who it was.
Brooksy, I'm gonna let you go first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go first.
No, this is where it got like a little confusing to me, and this is where I started to have more questions.
This movie?
She woke up and was like, "What?"
No, I think this part, like one, we did learn more about the mother box, and again, I thought that was super interesting, and there was that whole like backstory. I also liked that it's called a mother box because it like kind of gift life.
Because everybody sounds weird. A father box sounds really porn. It sounds terrible.
Because everybody has daddy issues, so you have to have the mother
right.
box.
Everybody has daddy issues. We got to go mother box. But yeah, this is where I started to be like, okay, now it's like it's more than me just not knowing backstories or not like knowing about this universe. This is where I feel like now I have questions. Like, how did, I mean, I'm not saying Lois is supposed to feel that it was like this shapeshifter, but I don't know, like that part. And then Martha comes out and we see that it's a shapeshifter or whatever they're called in the MCU. And I was like, what is the point of that? Like, how does
it was so he could put Martian Manhunter.
It was fan service.
But my whole issue is why would he do that? Why would he give an F about Lois whether she works or not? Right.
So this is where there's a weed and change that affects later on that I think was a much better change. But it's affected because this sets up the reason why Lois is in the place where she is instead of Batman putting her there.
Yeah, the whole from here for me, the whole Lois arc makes no sense.
So this sets up an accidental meeting of Lois Lane instead of a purposeful meeting.
Yeah.
So that's what it's here for, really.
I mean, I get it, but also like she could have just been there. Like, why not? Aquaman is just there when we need him too. So why not have Lois?
They wanted you to see another character from the cartoon Justice Leagues. So we threw him in there in a plot. Ooh, Martian Manhunter.
John Jones.
Well, in a way, it actually makes me feel better that there wasn't some like hidden thing that I missed or something, you know, some like deep plot. Cause I was like, okay. And then at the very end, when
we'll get there, Corey.
Together,
yeah,
but
we'll get there. The very
nobody was like, oh, good to see you again, because I saw you at my house last time. That, you know, like,
yeah, just wait till you try to have that talk with your mother-in-law. Wait, you don't remember coming and talking to me about your financial situation?
Right.
That's what I said too, right? At the end, like when they meet up on the farm, when we get to, I think that's chapter 5, right? Part 5?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway. Yeah,
all right.
We'll get there.
Are you...
I think Corinne had a point she wanted to make.
Yeah, Corinne, you're going to go next. Go ahead.
Okay. You said Keith first?
No, I said Corinne.
Oh, was I?
He hasn't seen past part 1.
We just like looking at Keith's face today, so that's why he's here.
No, I'm checking with Mitchell.
I was just gonna say it was a hard thing not to constantly remind people that try as we will, this is not the version. I know he tried, but like this is not the version we would have got had they finished and it chose everything that everyone agreed upon, because you would have had like writers and more the directors and other people getting their eye on it and making the final call.
Release the Snyder edit. Release the Snyder edit.
Yeah, release the Snyder cut.
But
and I stress that because I'm like, yeah, they were some crappy scenes, and people might wonder why would they do that? Well, in movies, when you record a lot of useless stuff or stuff that you're like, just in case we need it, so we don't have to set up.
Right? No, you absolutely do record more than
there are a lot of things, and maybe there's some things that he was like, no, I don't know if people will like this. I'm gonna put that out there just to let them know that I was playing with the idea of X, Y, and Z. And
but here's my issue. What goes back to what Chris was saying. If we remove this scene with John Jones, it completely throws you off in chapter 5 when she's got coffee.
Yeah, it does.
So
it's another random scene.
Now you're stuck. Now you're stuck because you have to, because you changed, bring in the big guns, right? I'm gonna bring coffee. So now you have to leave John Jones in this scene, right?
But it also unfortunately, like these things tend to domino. It brings up the idea that you have another being who's a superpower being somewhere near Superman's level that is just sitting on Earth going, I'm just going to talk to Lois. That's my contribution.
And wasn't involved in a final climax battle. Like, where was he in that battle?
Well, if you really want to go there, where was he when Zod came down?
That too.
Oh, he was watching. He was literally in the town watching.
Yep. Yeah, and then he had the nerve to handcuff Superman and Man of Steel.
Okay. Before James goes, I'm actually going to go because I want to build off something Corrine had said. And that is one of my favorite things Snyder does. Another positive out of me is he does great casting. Like, seriously, like his Cavill casting. I don't think anybody else would have picked Gal Gadot. All of the Amazons that he cast, and specifically, so Barry, I think he's not my favorite Flash. I know my son hates him and he's a Flash fan, but I think he's a fine actor for that role. And the woman they picked to play Iris, I thought they had great chemistry in the little that we got. So again, I think he does great with casting. I love his Lois Lane. I think Amy Adams is amazing. So great casting. But my part for criticism, he doesn't always finish his thoughts here. So like there's a scene. So we're kind of going around, and we're not talking about the big fight scene under the lake here. And there's this part where, and I see why Whedon changed it. So Barry has never been in a fight. He literally doesn't have any friends. He doesn't really use his powers for anything, little here and there. And so there's this great scene where Batman, in the Whedon version, where Batman says, look, I know you're scared, you're nervous, do this one thing, help the people get out. You can help one, and you'll know what to do. Now, in this version, he's literally telling people to run up the stairs, and he's just running up the stairs. Now, there's a really cool scene where there's rocks falling, and you get this great CGI speedster scene where he stops all the falling rocks. It looks cool, but is that any better? I don't think that's a better scene or better use of Barry than Barry being the guy who's nervous about fighting, but the veteran helps him, peps him, and he gets people out alive, and he uses his power for good. But that's only one part of that scene. Overall, Zack Snyder wrote a great fight scene. It was great. It looks great. For the most part, everybody's doing their thing. Yes, it's a weird Aquaman entrance. Barry giving Wonder Woman that whole cool speedster thing where he taps her sword back to her, but then she just lands and doesn't do anything. Like it didn't go anywhere. A cool vision, did something cool, didn't do anything with it.
Yeah,
so it's like,
I'm sorry.
But that's my about this group of scenes is great casting, great looking things, but he doesn't always use everybody to their best effect. He goes for cool over the best effect. to me.
So this is where I would have mind another area where I would like a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
Where
hybrid, yeah.
He's saving people and he's pushing rocks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not with you on the he's afraid, because then that goes back to I'm thinking timeline here, and he's saving people, convenience store clerks from getting robbed on a video.
Yeah, but now there's parademons there. There's parademons and a giant alien monster with a fire axe in front of him. It's not a human with a pistol.
To the best of our knowledge, this is the first time he's facing super powered villains.
Right. I'm not even sure how Flash in this universe got his powers, because he doesn't even work at the cop station.
One big thing that we all skimmed over in this part, because I want to get to the next one, that's why I've been quiet, is Lois' pregnancy.
Oh yeah.
Lois.
But they did
Lois
confirm that she
pregnancy test.
There was just a box in the drawer, right? So
you're a box in a drawer, any movie, movie you watch.
I understand, but now you can easily just say it was just sitting there, right?
It's Chekhov's pregnancy test.
Thank you. Chekhov's pregnancy test.
No, it's Schrodinger's pregnancy test. You don't know if it's positive or negative.
See it, then yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I did see that, but I didn't really read into that as it was a definitive pregnancy, because someone does congratulate her at one point of time, but I believe that was because she chose to put on the ring, and so they looked.
It was Martha,
and they were
the
like,
mom, the grandma recognized the glow in Lois. Was like, oh, congratulations. That was so scripted to make you believe, and they didn't give you any definitive. You're right, nothing was definitive, but it's to lead you on to possible future with a super kid. And to me, I'm like, you haven't even built a Superman story yet. Now you're already talking about Superboy?
Wait, time out.
No, Batman. He's gonna be Batman.
I gotta ask a question though, because anyone who takes a pregnancy test, do you put it back in the box and then put it back in the drawer?
This is movie Hollywood.
They want to keep it.
Put it back in the box.
This is
but maybe it's like a 2-pack and she only takes one, and the other pack is in the drawer for later.
There you go.
But later, he died. Superman was.
No, in case you want a second opinion.
With Bruce Wayne, right?
That's right. It's the Bruce Wayne thing.
Okay, right, let's move on.
We're move on. All right. Welcome back, everybody, and we are stretched. We are ready to go. We're ready to finish this podcast off. We've got 3 parts that we're gonna finish off here, and part 5 is where we're gonna start. Brooksy.
All the king's horses.
And all the king's men could not put them. Okay, anyway, so these are the parts. So Superman is exhumed. We have another Bruce Alfred, where we hear Bruce actually is now using his heart instead of his head. They break into the Kryptonian ship, and they resurrect Superman. We get another sad Lois, but this time she's motivated. Thank you, Martian Manhunter. Is she pregnant? We get Cyborg's nightmare. Everybody's having nightmares. Jimmy Olsen cameo, by the way. We get Superman versus the Justice League. Lucky Lois. And Silas Stone gets exploded. Yes, and well, obviously, because Steppenwolf gets the mother box.
Yeah, because he did his Miles Dyson Terminator 2.
I don't know how much longer I can hold this thing.
That's right.
That actor's typecast. Right.
So we are going to go in a backwards order. Mike, I'm going to let you go first. What in this section really stuck out to you?
Yeah, so this was the part with the redone after the resurrection and the whole fight scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so I thought that was an improvement.
I just did not feel it was. Okay,
yeah,
not my turn. Not my turn.
No,
go, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not talking about. I'm going from F to A here, right? I'm going from like D to D plus. So it's not like. So I say improvement, but you're going up maybe a 1 notch out of 100 or something. So there was an improvement. Again, my issue is not with the. This is part of my categorization of fight scenes in the movie, which I have no problem with. So this was fine to me. I'm glad, let it play out a little more. The big thing for me was that Lois coffee cup thing. So I'll let you take over.
I'm glad that I talked about that to you.
Yeah.
All right. If that's where you want to go, James, do you want to talk about it too? Do we just?
No, I don't want to talk about the fact that Lois is carrying like 20 different coffee cups throughout the. In fact, there's one scene where she has 2 coffee cups and no one else.
She's bringing it to the cop.
To the cop.
She's full Karen mode here. No.
Just so everybody knows, that's a cameo of the 70s Jimmy Olsen who pulls a gun on Resurrection.
Yes.
Don't get me started on what Snyder did to Jimmy Olsen, because that was a travesty.
And that was in BVS.
Because this one's dead in this universe.
Yeah.
By the way,
this is the moment in the movie. Again, I've only watched it once. I was watching with Eric, and I made a comment to him, and all of a sudden, I was reminded of something that Keith had said many podcasts ago. And this is where I started falling into the lull of the spectacle of the movie, because this is where Snyder stands fast. The action sequences when Superman's resurrected, and then the fight against the Justice League, which we already seen in Joss Whedon's version, but now we're seeing the full extended cut from Zack Snyder. To me, it was like the first time I watched John Wick 3, and I don't know if Keith's still watching, eating his curry chicken. I was like, man, this is the greatest freaking thing ever, until a couple of conversations with Keith, and then I rewatched it, and I'm like, man, this is some empty shit. and that's what it came to. But that moment for me was happening at the same time as I was watching, because at the beginning I was like, oh, I forgot the fact that I've seen this already. I was like, oh shit, oh man, this is great. And then I was like, and then Eric was looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong, Dad? You've seen this already. And I'm like, shit, he's right. Am I just getting excited because now I think there's an extra scene. The Flash moment was extended. Him and Flash was extended. But it was still the same fucking part of the movie. And I realized I was overly excited, dude, I'm getting bamboozled here. Like, this is the same freaking fight with no narrative.
So what really let me down, and Chris is going to elaborate, is
the Batman part.
Toro? Oh, no.
The Batman part. And the only thing I'm going to say is, in BVS, Homeboy was prepared out the wazoo, and he kicked Superman's ass, right? Until the whole Martha thing. But in this one, tell me, where did the kryptonite spear go? That just disappeared?
Doesn't exist in this version.
I guess.
So I'm going to give mine, and then I'm going to give it over to the ladies here. Mine, and Batman, there's only one thing you have to do to make Batman Batman. He is prepared. He is ready. He's got all the toys. He's got all the stuff. And yeah, we can move on to the detective and the ninja and the all sorts of stuff. And interesting to see what happens when he's not prepared. All that, fine. But in this case, what makes Batman, a normal human, live up to the rest of the Justice League is that he is ready to kill every member of the Justice League, and he knows how to do it. But this Batman is not that Batman. This Batman is like, I now feel with my heart and I trust in Clark. No, you don't. No, you know he's a tool to get rid of that other tool. He's a good guy. You believe in him, but you're not thinking with your heart. You now understand what you did not understand before. And so the idea that, and it happens in this fight too, this version, there's this big cool battle, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, they're all fighting Superman, and then out trots Batman from behind a police car. He helps one guy to stand up, and then the whole prepared thing is he now has gauntlets that can withstand one shot from Superman. So he is 3 shots from death, right? 1, 2, luck. No, there's no luck here. He had a plan in the Whedon version. He said, he knows Lois will take care of the evil Superman. And it could have been kryptonite. Kryptonite could have been the idea, but it's not. He had a different plan. And so that's what bugs me. Again, we can talk about them for some reason playing dress up and going into the gates instead of just flying over the top. That stuff, whatever.
Yeah,
in this case, it's just Batman not being prepared, and it bugs me. Okay, Brooksy.
This is where I realized like how powerful Superman was. And I know for the people that already are like familiar with DC Universe, that's very obvious. But this is when I was like, wow, Superman is the most powerful superhero. Because once he turns evil, it seems like he could just kill everyone else very easily. And to me, like that was something I didn't realize. And then like I did think it was kind of corny, and I can't remember. I think it's still in this part. It was kind of corny where like Lois, like Superman's on this like murder spree, right? And then Wayne like comes in and is like, "It's me," and he's like, "Huh," and like stops killing people, and like they go away, and I'm like,
it's
right.
the King Kong of cinema. That's how it works in it.
How do you tame the wild beast?
Right,
You know,
the Hulk,
Beauty
and the Beast, King Kong, and then up until here we have the Incredible Hulk on the Marvel side, Superman on the DC side. You put a woman in front, their woman in front of them, and they stop whatever they're doing, and they fall in love again. It's the thing.
Yeah, well, it was the thing, and it was a little bit corny, and I was like, is this the whole like love trumps everything moment of the movie or something? And yeah. I mean, I still enjoyed the movie way more than you guys did, but that part again, that was another one of those parts where I was like, this is corny.
See, I find that actually hysterical that you actually didn't feel that thing, whereas us as geeks kind of expect that, and maybe it's just as dudes, maybe we're like, oh, okay, we know what they're gonna do, we expect it to work, because I don't know if it's a cinema thing, if it's a comic book thing, if it's whatever, it's like I didn't think anything of that. I thought, but you're seeing it from a completely different angle, and I find it amazing that you kind of like
I know Kareen's read the comics, and let's just say, is it a male female thing, or is it a comic book?
If anything, I think it's, and no kidding, and even sometimes not so sentient, but it's almost a sentient thing. It's unfair to say he shouldn't, or to feel like he shouldn't have that thing, but a lot of sentient characters or beings have that something that can sometimes ground them, or that certain someone, like you ever see that one person, you're like, that dude's such an asshole. How do they even have friends? But there's always like that one friend that they've got, and you're like, why does anyone like him? Like, I hate this guy. But like, I feel like everyone's kind of got that thing. So I wouldn't completely remove that possibility from him, especially not when in their universe, they've shown us his parents and their tiny moment that we got to see of love for each other. So we know that they are capable of very strong love, to the point where, like half of their family kind of got, well, I say half, there wasn't many of them left, but like got together to like send Superman out, because they were like, oh, we got to keep ourselves going. And I think it was more of a reminder moment, like, okay, this being seems affectionate towards me in almost an intimate way. Like even the way she looked at him and started like, oh no.
Yeah, they're great actors. They have good chemistry. Yeah. And there's also a thing in movies where if suddenly a character is not afraid of the big bad reacts differently to the character who's not afraid.
Another trope. Yeah, that's
The last thing I want to call out before we end the section is that Superman comes back from the dead, and what does Lois say to him? Your mom's having financial trouble. Like, Lois, it's really not the time. Like, I don't have any money. I've been dead. Like, I can't buy the farm. Like, I'm on a salary of a journalist. Like, come on. Like, it's I'm not helping here.
Yeah, Tony Stark isn't paying him either.
We didn't even talk about the fact that he came back with the. Wait, did he put the black suit on yet? No, not yet.
Not yet.
No, he came back in his suit pants and shirtless for
His
some
funeral.
reason.
His funeral clothing. Yeah.
That's just how that works. It's shirtless. It's a modern superhero film.
Jason Momoa and Henry Cavill.
Well, Jason Momoa was way better shirtless.
Should we grade the shirtlessness scenes?
Sure.
I would put Henry Cavill over, but I'm a dude. So
No way. I also assumed when the title came up, All the King's Horses, that they were not going to bring Superman back to life.
Why would you say that?
Because
they could not put they could not put
I
Dumpty
forgot
back
that.
together.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that was my assumption. So I was surprised that they did bring Superman back.
Zack Snyder surprising us yet again.
We head off to part 6, the big dance here.
Yeah, this is very good. Go ahead.
Something darker.
All right. So suddenly the team has to find where the box was. So we get the farm scene. So I jumped the gun here. So the farm scene with Martha's financials. We get the plan and a nice team building section where everybody gets a moment to talk about their interpersonal relationships with some other member of the team. Superman gets dressed. So we get his closet. He's got a cool closet where all of his stuff comes out. And of course, the big battle scene, which we will definitely spend most of our time talking about, and Darkseid's cameo. So that's all part 6. So we're probably not going to talk about Martha's financials because I already talked about that. So I'm going to go, Corrine, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Superman getting dressed, right?
I don't. I don't. Because there was
no, seriously, what do you want to talk about?
It was a like many of the other fight scenes, again, it felt very much
black suits,
like a very drawn out. They all the fight scenes and war scenes felt very drawn out because like I said, it felt like everything was just one pinch away from being cut properly. And
yeah, I agree.
There comes a point in time during a fight scene when it's like, whew, I mean, I don't have shit to do, but is this keep going?
I don't know.
Is it like, whew, this is all I played my whole night around this, but this is a bit much. And that's where I was at in a good portion of that and the God fighting scene. That was like that too with the and I was not interested in the family situation, so I was very glad that was gone. I was like, oh, way to complete the most useless movie in history at the end of Justice League. I'm like, yeah, great, this useless ass family, thanks. You know, which movies do, and I get it, but not many movies like really nail that. Hey, we're kind of give you side characters that we can watch, you know, let you watch and almost think they're gonna die, that we all know isn't gonna die. You know, and it's like, you know, so at least that was gone. By the time I was at the end, I wasn't even looking for any more anything. I was like, okay, well, this is the fight. All right, great, get it. Unless everyone like literally dies and is on a mantle dead at the end, I'm not sure they're going to do anything that's going to surprise or wow me for that matter. But I did like Superman in black suit, Superman doing black
So it's
suit.
almost like the set 2017 was a giant spoiler for a really cool scene that you otherwise might have been excited for. And 4 hours build up was a little bit too much towards it.
Tell you what it wasn't too much for. Getting rid of that family. If only making it to the end just to know that I was just like, oh, thank God. So now we're going to get things that are actually relevant to the characters. And I was appreciative that he at least did that.
So Mike, you're next then.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much going to just jump to that end fight scene as well.
Yeah, I expected.
Again, an improvement over the original cut. I'm with Corrine there that the whole family thing, I'm glad it was gone too. We had more use of the Flash. in this.
Did we? I'm gonna
We
put up
did.
that Thor
He did.
thing.
Flash saved. He saved.
We'll
he
get
saved
there
them.
for me.
Yeah.
Say that for me.
No, I'm gonna disagree, but yes, go ahead.
Well, instead of it was just him on the sidelines, he actually wound up saving them.
No, I'm
Going
gonna
back
disagree.
in time, right?
Sorry, I'm gonna shut up. Sorry.
No, go ahead. That's all I want to add.
finish.
But
So let me chime in then.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. So Mike, so to me, I agree with Kareem that the fight scene to me felt like too long, prolonged, and it's a we didn't really. I bid my tongue throughout the entire review tonight to not to compare this MCU universe. You say what you want to say about the Marvel universe, whether it's too cheesy, not mature enough, but the point is they give you a story where you care about the characters to the point where the final act happens, whether it's Ant-Man fighting with his daughter's bedroom, Doctor Strange fighting in Hong Kong with trying to unravel Dormammu. Every one of these MCU movies, 9 out of 10 of them, when you get to that final act, you've invested in those characters to the point where you care about what's happening on the screen. You care about if it's space dogs fighting against a CGI freaking raccoon and a guy with a metal arm. You care because the movie built you to that point where you care. This particular movie, the full Zack Snyder version, forget about Josh Whedon's version, to me did not do anything more other than Cyborg, and I'm going to get to the Flash in a second. I didn't care about what was happening with the main characters. I didn't care about Steppenwolf. I didn't care about anything just to see what would be different than the first movie to somehow save this movie in my mind, right? Because in the beginning, I told you guys I was a little happy. I was, oh, this is going good. Then they plummeted down. So up until the moment where the bad guys were winning, to me, this was pure, utterly nonsensical, terrible bad guy villain fight. And I didn't care. And I was like, this movie is going another F for me, maybe an F minus. Then comes the Flash moment. And the reason why I pivoted a little bit about the Flash moment, Chris, I know is because Flash character in the original movie he looked like he was in the spectrum to the point where he wasn't the Barry Allen from the comics, the DC animated version, or the TV show. So this Flash I did not recognize and I did not connect with, for good or for bad. This is my thoughts. But in this extended cut with the iris scene and the hot dog, whatever, and I was like, okay, they're trying to humanize him a little bit more, and I get it. He doesn't look as like, frail, whatever. Everything you said earlier about him going through climbing the mountain, whatever. To me, okay, I can see now with this guy's an average person who's just trying to connect with these larger than life superheroes that he's teamed up with. And then when the moment of truth comes, when he has to step up and come up with his own plan to save the day, and then the music, and I'm like, Zack Snyder is not good for musical scores in superhero movies.
Right.
He is in Watchmen. He is in 300. That sequence of the Flash rewinding time, the visual effects, the musical score, and then Barry Allen stepping in, to me was like, and I remember this, Eric too, his favorite character in DC other than Batman is always Flash. And he was like, he jumped up and started clapping. And I'm sitting there like, calm down. We don't know where this is going. And he goes, Dad, you know where this is going. And I'm like, oh, is he going to reverse time like the animated movie we just saw last summer? And to me, I'm like, wow, Zack Snyder, like you had the creativity to think of this story plot, but you shitted on everything else in this movie? Like, what the hell? And I was upset. And I was happy, but I was upset. This moment in the entire movie, to me, pulled it out of the trash of an F and gave it the D rating. I'm going to give it.
Yeah, that scene was well done. Absolutely.
Like me in high school.
That music score and
they're handing that final grade to get yourself
and Ezra Miller to me finally sold himself as that version of the Flash that I didn't believe in the first movie. I didn't believe to 2/3 of the movie, but that sequence, comic book nerd that I am, movie avid goer that I am, to me, I was like, this is brilliant. Like, where the hell was this sort of like writing? Maybe it's not writing. It ain't Chris Terrio. Where was this directing and narrative in the rest of this movie?
Right.
Yeah. That's all I got, Chris.
My problem is never the visual here. That scene visually, the way he turned back the time, the way he rebuilt, visually it was stunning.
Yeah, sorry. Just want to say before you do that, even the point when he stopped, like when the Unity was blasting out towards the planet, and he stopped it around him. That was a great shot right there.
You forget, right? and then Zack Snyder plays the voiceover, and I hate voiceovers normally. I hate them. No, and I agree with you, Chris. Normally, but it made sense in this particular moment.
Well, he also played the voiceover over Cyborg. He also
I didn't like those. I don't like any of those.
Like that's a shtick. Like if it's one thing when you say this character has this super moment based on what his finally understanding what his parents were trying to provide him, and he finally connects with it, but if you do that for every character, it loses its shtick.
You're right.
It becomes a
right. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree on that.
The whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
We have comparison ideas here. So we have someone who has edited and tried to do something in the 2017 version. We have the original vision. So I have the ability to look at two different things and go, what was it about that I liked? What was it about that I liked? And so what's missing from each? Zack Snyder's original vision here is 100% better than the cut. Agreed, top to bottom, except the Flash. And so this is what it's going to be. The point of the family is to, again, these are heroes. They're meant to show them saving people, not blowing out terrorists out of windows. Okay, so if you notice what Whedon tried to do, whether he did it right or he did it crappily is a completely different argument. But he tried to show Superman interacting with the public. He tried to show Wonder Woman saving the crowd without destroying a building. He tried to show the Flash saving civilians during the biggest fight. So he tried to, now Superman carrying a building and both of them being useless and the family was terrible. It wasn't the right scene for it.
Right.
But I get the idea of these DC heroes, God level heroes, also being able to fight and save at the same time. Like it's something that
focus on the Flash, because focus on the Flash.
This is where the Flash. So if you watch, I did watch this part, and what the Flash does during this scene is he runs in a circle, the entire thing. That's all he's doing. He's building up, just running in a circle, still going. They're fighting, and he's still running, and so and then he gets the final thing. He gets shot in the leg. He whines a bit, heals himself, gets going, and goes from a dead stop. Still has the energy to do it. Why was he running in a circle for the last 5 minutes? If he
gets shot in the stomach, not the leg.
Yeah. No, he got shot twice in the leg and then in the side. Yeah.
Oh, he gets shot in the leg in the other scene, but it doesn't matter.
This is the one part of the movie I actually went back and watched again.
So he stops dead from his whole build-up thing because he uses a tripping supercharger in this movie. He is nothing but a battery here. Okay, so that's all Flash is. Now, is it visually amazing? Absolutely, top to bottom, it looks so cool. Is it the best use of a Flash character? No. So what does Whedon do? Whedon, instead of making him run in a circle for 5 minutes, Whedon has him running in, taking out parademons. An actual use of Barry Allen during the fight.
That is terrible use of Barry Allen and Josh Whedon. And I agree with you on the fact that you're right. He was nonsensical
It's a complete waste
I
of
agree
the
with you.
character.
So it's like we're arguing against wet garbage versus dry garbage. I'm arguing the side of the dry garbage, saying the point is at least Zack Snyder's vision of Flash was him using his actual full potential of his powers.
And
Right.
this is
Whereas Josh Whedon nerfed them and then just had him like being a scared kid
okay.
on the spectrum throughout the entire movie.
And then the last part is me having a problem with the trifecta Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League.
Oh, that's a bigger issue.
Okay. And it all comes down to that moment with the Flash. And that is Zack Snyder has to blow the load. He had to use Flash's time traveling ability twice. He's basically used it twice in this, a little bit in the first one.
Right.
But if this was the seventh, and I hate doing this, but we haven't seen the Flash be the Flash for more than a day, and he's already time traveling to save the world.
No,
I agree with you.
That's
Can we get
another
the Flash?
final thought for me. Yeah.
I agree,
with
but
you.
yeah, that's a claim against the entire DCFU.
Right. That's not just
But-
this movie issue. Yeah.
It so bugs me that we already had Dark Knight Rises, we already had the death of Superman, and now we already have Flash using time travel to save the world, all in his third movie of his grand vision of the DC universe.
I think that the biggest issue here is that they made the mistake of giving us a movie that involved a whole crew. And it's like either you're going to have us jump all in and learn everything about everyone right then and there, or we're going to learn everything about each character and then you give us the movie of the whole group. That is what Avengers did. I'm not saying everyone has to follow Avengers, but I'm saying if you're going to create a group movie, then you wouldn't have to do something like what happened with Flash and Cyborg, where they have these long moments in the movie, but it was almost like, we didn't give them their own movie. We got to explain some shit now. And then so like they just threw all that information out there and it was like, it was never going to feel complete. I knew from the beginning, I knew that Batman versus Superman was trash. I knew that half of the movies were beyond trash. And, but I was like, I didn't really expect too much more from them at that point because I was like, well, I mean, he's trying to squeeze out whatever information he can.
But again, we're focusing on just this movie. And to me, Chris, I think this Flash moment was one of the best parts of this, if not the best part of the movie. It was
absolutely amazing to watch and in the absolutely wrong movie for it to happen.
Or they could have just made it slightly shorter.
Or they, I don't know. I guess it's the right movie for it to happen in the wrong place for me to find it the right thing to happen at the right time.
Brooks, would you agree for this part of the movie?
I really liked, I liked the movie in general. So I really liked this part of the movie. I literally have a note that was like, look up speed of light.
Wait, but did you say you watched the original Justice League, Whedon cut?
I watched the end.
Not you, Brooksy. Have you ever seen the?
I did, but it was in 2017 and I don't remember.
Yeah, like maybe throw it on just to compare and see.
No, don't worry about it.
But there's no speed of light traveling.
No. The Epilogue. I think it's just called Epilogue, right, Brooks?
Yeah, just call Epilogue.
Father Twice Over.
Twice over?
My bad.
A Father Twice Over.
Oh, A Father Twice Over.
Right. Yeah, from the tape recording. Yep.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we get the cyborg tape recorder scene. We get Aquaman and Mira. We get the Hall of Justice. We get Flash seeing his dad again. We get the farm again. We get I just wrote down cool shots. I don't know exactly what that is. I think
movie?
it's Wonder Woman standing in the bad green screen of the Greek ruins. Superman taking his shirt off.
In the black suit underneath instead of the regular red and blue and white suit.
Right. Okay.
That's the black suit. I was into it.
Okay. We also
That's not Superman. That is not Superman.
We also get Luthor and Deathstroke for some reason. Then the Nightmare. And then finally, to end it all, we get another Martian Manhunter scene, which is apparently supposed to be a Green Lantern scene, which would have even made even less sense than the Martian Manhunter scene made.
No, I don't think so.
I can't believe how many people were in love with that Joker scene.
Okay, do you want to just talk about that? Because everything else is pretty much...
It's terrible. I don't like Jared Leto as a Joker. I never did. He's terrible. And in fact, I think the Suicide Squad version was better than this version of him in Nightmare Queen. Nah, dude, he was like, I don't know what he was, God, whatever. It doesn't matter what he was trying to portray himself. That conversation with Batman to me was terrible.
But the conversation, of course, was terrible.
Nothing in the comics, nothing in the Elseworlds, nothing in Harley Quinn. It was like, dude, what am I watching? Like, am I smoking? Like,
because what good is Joker in a post-apocalyptic
future? What are you
bringing
Superman for?
Why? And then you have Deathstroke in the background, but to me, you could have stopped there. Show me, like, the tease of like Batman and Deathstroke teaming up. Stop there, but no, I gotta go a step further and show you
always
Joker.
A step further.
And I'm like, what is Joker gonna do against Superman? No, assuming this nightmare world's happening, Superman's working for Darkseid. What is the Joker gonna do?
Gonna tell him a joke, obviously.
Come
dance on, dance off, bro, dance off,
dance off.
It's not. Isn't it same? It's the same world-ish from like, what is it, Batman versus Superman?
Yeah, it's the same world with Suicide Squad.
I've personally never cared for, I don't hate Jared Leto. I don't care for his Joker though. I don't feel like they needed to have that nightmare at all. I'm like, who are they giving fan service? Like, real talk, after we saw Joker, the movie, it was like, Jared, who? We didn't want you to begin with. I know he wasn't gonna be in this, but not a soul was like, oh, fan service. Needed that freaking Leto.
Well,
not a fucking soul.
Let me say this. Like, as I've been complaining about the entire Snyder vision, this is part of the issue here. The Snyderverse starts with a Superman who's afraid to be Superman until he's 33. Jesus. A Batman who's already past his prime, who's had his Robins dead, who's branding people, and with a Wonder Woman who got so fed up with humanity, she disappeared. And then he wants to tell us it gets worse from there. Like everything, all these dream sequences that everybody's having, telling us it gets worse. So he starts at not a world in which these heroes become better and make it better, and then it falls into ruin and blah blah blah. He's saying it sucks already. Oh wait, it gets worse. Like, that's my problem. The Snyder vision is bad to worse, and then hopefully something good happens at the end.
It's like you take these iconic characters from a comic book lore, and then you create your version of 300, and that's what I feel like it is. Like, he's just taking these characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and then throwing these tertiary characters, and he's creating his own, march towards fucking Thermoselli.
The only flashback or flash forward to Nightmare that I thought fit thematically was when Cyborg was putting the boxes together, and the boxes hit him with something weird.
I did like that.
I was like, that's interesting. The boxes giving him a vision. That's if Apocalypse wins. That's the only pot.
That was cool because you got to see Apocalypse do his famous Omega beams. Yeah. That shit was cool. Again, Eric was watching. He was like, straight from he knew exactly what freaking DC animated movie they were copying.
Apocalypse War.
Yeah, that part was cool.
So this whole dream sequence to me it's unnecessary only because there's nothing afterwards. There's nothing, you know what I mean? There's not, you put the sequence in to hype everybody up to say, well, Superman's going to turn bad and we're going to have all this and that, but we're not getting any of that, right? So why show us this? So
I felt like it was leading to something. Like,
but it's not. That's the
I think that's the argument where Snyder wanted it to lead to something.
Right,
Yeah.
but want and going to, we know it's not going to. He knows.
You're saying that he should have not even aired it as part of this cut.
Yeah, but of course, again, he just swept everything off the floor and put it in the movie, right? So.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's only the end if it's actually the end, and if they actually don't do anything and don't like step back on their words and continue on with this trashery.
They're not. Warner Brothers has already.
Yeah, you didn't see the article that came out. Was it yesterday or today? I forgot when it came out.
They already started with the hashtags though.
I think it was yesterday. Ants, whatever her name is, from DC says they're moving on. They got Black Adam coming next. They're done. This is it.
We know that's coming.
Yeah, but they're saying they're done with the Zack Snyder.
Yeah. But his vision was always with this, and I don't know how he sold DC in this initially. If that was part of the pitch or that came later, because if that's your first pitch for where your first set of movies ends, I think that is an automatic kick him out the door kind of level stuff. Like,
is it though?
Yeah, because you can't have that right away. That is your.
Well, the issue with the dream sequence is that it's a dream sequence. Doesn't necessarily mean that the next movie has to play out where the world is apocalyptic.
It could have been like the end of Avengers 1, where you see Thanos, and all of a sudden you think, oh wow, the next movie is gonna be Thanos.
But tell me,
and it takes like 10 years before
do you really
see Thanos.
think if he was in charge and he got his vision?
Oh, probably
to
not.
Make
no.
it. Do you think the next movie would definitely be Apocalypse?
Yeah, it would have been the repercussions of Dark Side seeing Steppenwolf's head, and then it would have followed from there.
And running away from the Justice League because he's scared because he's not as strong as he should be.
I respect everyone's different views, and it's interesting to hear all these different views, but also I just can't shake that. Try as they will, I personally cannot forget that every single Batman related movie that has ever been created, almost outside of the Nolan one, which I liked. I like the Dark Knight series, just me. But it's like they all just tank, and somehow they're like, oh God, we fucked it up so bad. Wait, you know what? We can come up with another. There's always somebody.
Actually, the problem is
more, and then there's another, and then there's another, and then there's another.
The problem isn't that they tank, it's actually that they do well. Batman 89 was the first summer blockbuster. They talk about Jaws, and then Batman 89 just blew up.
Yeah.
And then Nolan's
to start merchandising and
up.
cups and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Merchandising. Batman and Spider-Man are the two biggest characters in the world. They sell the most stuff. And that's why we've had 3 sets of Spider-Man movies and 4 sets of Batman movies.
And like $100 billion of video games for those 2 characters.
Right. The companies don't have vision. They haven't up until now, up until the MCU, haven't had the vision to go further and go, oh, what else can we do from here? Right. So now we're finally getting other things besides just Batman.
They're just late on it.
Of course, there's a Batman movie coming out. So
I know we're talking about. There's the Batman,
and that's what I'm talking about. Though they did it again. Someone else sold them, and they're like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it again."
Because let's put the guy from what movie was he in? Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, from Twilight. Yeah,
from Twilight. Okay.
I like the trailer on that. I'm not gonna lie, I do like the trailer on that, but. I mean, truth be told, I end up watching Batman movies and stuff anyway. So
I will continue to watch Batman movies and rewatch Batman.
They're gonna get my money anyway. I understand that, and I've accepted that about my reality. But
okay, let us grade this movie.
I can't wait for the Zack Snyder cut of this podcast.
All right, Mike, I'm gonna let you go first so you can go quick.
Okay. You all right, James?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, my grade on this movie is going to be C. And I'll tell you why.
You grade on a curve? Fuck.
Kind of. Yeah, it's kind of like what I said earlier, where if this had been a theater release, this wouldn't have been the cut we saw in the theater. So while I appreciate his vision and what he did, I'm not going to, again, it's an improvement over the Whedon cut. and it's still not a great movie, but I appreciate the vision. And if he had been able to trim it down to a theater version, it probably would have been better. So I'll just give it a straight C for this one.
Brooksy, go ahead.
I'm going to have the unpopular opinion.
No, go for
it. So my boyfriend and I gave it the same grade, which was an A+.
Wow, full
Holy
plus.
cow.
The plus, the perfect grade, a 100.
Oh, you're lucky Keith's not here.
I know.
A 100. Well,
Wow.
Okay.
James is talking to toys right now. Now he's so upset.
Wonder Woman music.
I am glad that you really enjoyed it, and that means you have to watch all future movies because you loved it so much. You're stuck.
Can't wait to see your review of Godzilla versus Kong.
You have no excuse for not watching future superhero movies if you gave this an A+.
Yeah, I was into it. I also I keep saying the backstories really caught me. I felt like it brought me up to speed, and I was like, I get why people are into the Snyder Cut. Get.
Okay.
Hang on. Can I just add? I'm going to disagree with you there, and that should have been 3 movies. We should have had a Flash movie and a Cyborg movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, Brooksy, I want you to watch Man of Steel next. Actually, I think you will.
Man of Steel.
You'll like that.
The other thing I wanted to say really quick was that I also felt like, of all of the ones that I have seen, this was one of Wonder Woman's best movies. And I didn't see I didn't see the first Wonder Woman, but the second Wonder Woman, I just.
Oh, you saw 84. That's right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, this was better. This was better.
84 was trash, and
I actually have the highest grade for Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, it was trash. And I was thinking about Wonder Woman 84, and I was like, they really had Wonder Woman in a mall. That is so sexist on so many levels. You're going to put Wonder Woman in a mall? I get it because it's a way to show that it's 1984 and what's more 1984 than a mall? I get it. But Wonder Woman in a mall.
But she wasn't shopping in the mall. She wasn't picking out shoes in the mall.
She was
saving people in the mall.
In the mall.
Paul Blart had that. We didn't need her.
I love that scene. I thought that was a great scene.
It was terrible. Let's move on. Okay,
yeah, let's move on.
All right, Kareem, what's your grade?
Shit. But the first one left such a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, whatever. I was like, what's good? What could possibly go wrong? So we watched it, and our first walkthrough, I was like, is this me or is this scene pretty good? That scene was pretty good. And we at least had a few of those moments. I cannot erase the fact that my boyfriend and I had a few of those. That scene was actually done much better. I like that they did that. The fact that I was able to say that at all, I actually like that moment, already moves it up higher than the initial, I don't know, negative D that I had on the first one. So I might actually almost agree with Mike there on the possible C, maybe a C-, because, and that the C- is only for the fact that it was not a fully released cut. He was not able to put out the movie within the duration of time that other full finished movies are able to put out their movies within that time frame. Instead, it was a 4-hour, hey, here goes some stuff that I thought about putting together in the movie.
Yeah.
But I like that for what it was, and therefore I think I'm sitting at a C-.
Okay, great. All right, James, drop the bomb.
And it's a D. Stop it. You guys are being whatever. We've seen benchmark of superhero movies. We've seen the Dark Knight trilogy. We've seen a lot of the MCU movies. We've seen
Spider-Man,
Wonder Woman 1. We've seen Man of Steel. Yeah, some of you guys don't like Man of Steel. That's okay. We've seen so many examples of great and in fact, with one of you, I went to the movie theater and had you watch Endgame Infinity War with me. Yes, I'm pointing at you, Auntie Brooks. And to me, if you're gonna give this version of Zack Snyder movie, whatever you want to call it, anywhere near those grades, I am flabbergasted, and I want to clutch my pearls. So my grade is a D.
Damn, James went full Karen here. He's calling for the manager now.
Yeah, I was
He's
about
calling
to.
for the manager now.
And you have to thank that Flash scene to got me out of the F.
All right. So I'm actually I'm gonna pull on what Kareen said, and because I have a lot of the same feeling in that I think there's a grade curve because you already saw a worse version of the same story.
Yeah.
But I can't give it a good grade because Zack Snyder bugs me so much. But there's also, whenever I watch a movie of his like Man of Steel, I go, it's so close to being good. The visuals are great. The casting is great. The acting for the most part is great. And I'm like, those bring my grades up. And then he just shits on something and it just drops the grade down. So I actually, surprisingly, I'm giving this a C-.
All right. I'm with you there.
I can't quite go the D route. I wanted to be 100% honest. When this was announced, I was prepared for this to be an F or a D-. I thought this was going to flunk completely, but I was surprised.
Chris, what's your worst MCU movie you watch? Worst
MCU movie?
Yeah.
I've probably Thor 2.
Thor 2. So Thor 2 versus this movie, which is better?
I would definitely rewatch Thor 2, but I have
Enough said.
I'm not saying it's good.
No, I'll tell you what, Iron Man 3 was worse for me. I'd rather watch this Snyder Cut than Iron Man 3.
No, I love Iron Man.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying, But you see how we skew our viewings because of you said it right there. You're still reviewing it versus the original one, but you're not really reviewing it against all of the superhero movies because if you really sat down and looked at this movie versus Thor 2, you'd be like, this is an F.
No. Right. I put BVS below this. I think BVS is a worse movie than this is, and that's cut for time. And then everybody tells me that you have to watch the extended version of that to find the real story.
I did watch the extended version.
So you can't tell me that Snyder having a chance to cut down a movie to time would make it better, because everybody told me that the one that I hated wasn't right because it had to be cut down for time. Like he cannot tell a story in a reasonable timed format. Give Zack Snyder a 8-episode
like
television arc.
You go to a sporting event, you got 4 quarters. No, I need 7 quarters, dude.
Right, exactly. You don't have that.
You know what the issue was? The editor should have kicked his ass out of the editing room and said, let me work.
Put Zack Snyder in the writing room with other writers. Put Zack Snyder in the producer's room with other producers. Do not put him in the director's chair. I don't think it's too much power for him. Definitely keep him out of the color grading room because damn it, I want some color, please. But anyway,
we all want color.
It's just like he just frustrates me so much because I see he has some talent, especially behind the camera, his shot selection, his casting. All
right, we're reaching Zack Snyder.
I can't even say his vision because I can
podcast.
We just hit.
This is definitely the Snyder Cut of our podcast for sure.
Okay, that's all of our grades. That's all we can. We could probably talk about this forever, like most things. Thank you, everybody. Mike, do you even want to tell people where they can find us?
Please.
Of course. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Heroes Peak. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube.
Hit the like. Hit subscribe.
Share
Leave a comment. Stop lurking. Leave a
Stop
comment.
Texting James with your comments.
I know. Stop texting me.
James.
Like that's supposed to do anything.
Yeah. I just shared the screen to these guys.
Yeah. All righty. Back to you, Chris.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I had a great time, as I always do. Thank you to our wonderful guest, Corrine. You are invited on anytime you want to come and tell us that we are wrong in our opinions. We love to hear it.
No, I mean, it's not a wrong thing. Yeah, sure.
we tentatively do this every Tuesday, and then I edit it and release it the following Tuesday because I'm really bad at this. And all right, thank you everybody. I loved having you. I hope you enjoyed your experience watching and loving or deriding the Snyder Cut. Everybody have a great week.
Good night.